So as I was saying in the previous episode, Coffee with Moshe, I began training at the advice of a dear friend, Alon Kirshner. I began training with Itay in the community center in Jerusalem. And as you say, it was love at first kick, hard training, and I've worked very, very hard over there. It was what would be considered by today a bit rugged standards. I remember one of my memories there was you come in and I would see there was no place to drink. There were two used bottles on the floor filled with water. What was that for? I certainly would never drink from there. Lo and behold, when you're thirsty, everyone just takes a sip and puts it back, and you all share the same two bottles. Yeah, certainly not during coronavirus times, we wouldn't do that. But in those days, you're thirsty, there was no dressing room, you change right here. There was no place to drink water, you just drink the water right there. And that's how we did it. So I held a full-time job, and I would be very, very tired after work, worked a full day, and I'd get to the dojo, and I remember I'd get there always a little bit early, just lean against the wall, and put my head back and fall asleep for a few minutes, get ready for class. We did 3 classes. I did 3 classes back to back, 3 times a week, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. I never missed a lesson. Made sure to get there in time for the class, just enough time to rest up and to train. 2 days a week it was basic kickboxing, Thai boxing, and 1 day it was freestyle, things along those lines. I worked very hard and I earned my yellow belt. Sorry, I didn't earn a yellow belt. I had the privilege of skipping yellow belt and going straight to orange belt, which was rather unusual and something which I'm still proud of. And I recently found a picture, which is a bit of a collector's item. Hard to believe I actually have this, but this is amazing. This is a picture of me being awarded my orange belt from Itay many years ago. Very good memories. There I was earning my first belt in Israel, my orange belt from Itay. Quite a wonderful memory. And here I have that diploma, which I save, and I cherish these diplomas, and that's an original diploma. You might notice we didn't even use the word Krav Maga. No one thought of it in those days. I didn't hear the word Krav Maga until years later. It was just called freestyle survival. In Hebrew, Sardut, Signon Chofshi, and so forth. Whenever a new t-shirt came out, I remember the price was 30 shekels. I always bought the new t-shirts and I wore them until they fell apart. This is one of the original t-shirts from those days. That's the back. This is the front. Again, doesn't say Krav Maga, it was just freestyle. I bought every single t-shirt that came out. Support your dojo. That's again the value that I learned. You help your dojo out. A new t-shirt comes out, you buy it. A DVD comes out, you buy it. Everything that came out, I bought it. Every extra session that came out, another training for stick fighting, whatever it was, I went. That's how you do it. You pay first, you train, you support the dojo. I always took an interest in the dojo. People later on thought that I worked there because if somebody new came in, I would go and greet them. I would be the welcoming committee. When Itay went away once for some training in Australia, so 3 of us, myself, Ildiko, and Eran, we took over the dojo. And we ran the dojo. We taught the classes, and that's the way it is. That's called loyalty, that's called discipline, and that's called caring about the dojo because you want it to survive. If you think only of yourself, you won't end up with a place to train. After every class, I would grade myself. I remember I'd give myself a 5, a 6, a 7 on a good day. I don't recall ever giving myself more than a 7. I was very harsh on myself. I would pay attention closely. If Itay was demonstrating a grappling technique or a jiu-jitsu technique, I would quickly grab a napkin and start drawing on it, an arm, a leg. I'd get home, then I'd look at the piece of paper and like, which way was it? We didn't have iPhones in those days, didn't own a camera that could film anything, didn't have that kind of ability, but I would just write it down and come home and try to figure it out, where'd the arm go, where'd the leg go. Itay, of course, noticed that. I have to say, Itay has quite an ability as a psychologist. He noticed me and he called me in one day and he said to me, "You're very harsh on yourself." And I was amazed that he saw this. And he said to me something which I'll never forget. He said, I watch everybody, and everybody has a problem. And I learn about everybody's problems from watching how they fight, how they train. And I said, why do you think everybody here has a problem? And he said, you're all paying a hell of a lot of money to get beaten up. You think you don't have a problem? Normal people don't do this. And he said my issue was that I was very, very harsh on myself. And I remember one day I learned a lesson from one of the fellow students, a fellow named Oded, who didn't come as often as I did, but he was an outstanding fighter, very, very tough, always gave me a tough time. I remember talking, and he said, I come here, I see my friends, I get a great workout, I have a good time, I have fun, I go home, I'm happy. And I just thought, wow, there's another way. You could be happier with your training. I was always very harsh on myself. And as a teacher, I try to incorporate all these elements. The element of enjoying it, but also taking it seriously. You don't have to be miserable. You can enjoy the training and progress, even if you're not being so hard on yourself. So that's important. In those days, there were quite a few people that eventually became instructors in their own right. I don't want to mention names, full names, because I don't have people's permission, but there was Shuki, who's in Thailand today, an outstanding, world-renowned Thai boxing instructor and champion, and has many students all over the world. There's a fellow named Benny, who became also a kickboxing instructor. I bumped into him several times at the airport, where he takes his students to championships all over Russia and Ukraine. I met him on a flight coming home from Russia once with one of his disciples, another flight from Ukraine. Good guy, good memories, always a tough fighter. Oded, who I mentioned, became, I believe, a grappling instructor later on, and so forth. There were also some other characters that bring back memories that I'd like to share. And again, I only mentioned first names. We had quite a few Arab students from, they're not really 100% Arabs, Cherkessim, from a village called Abu Ghosh. Guys who were tough as nails. There was one guy, Shimon, probably one of the strongest people I've ever met. And this guy, I remember Itay would tell me, don't even try for the body. Your only chance is hitting him in the head, because whatever you throw at him, kicks, punches to the body, for the legs, he won't feel a thing. You've got to go for the head. It's your only chance. And Shimon was always a really tough fight. There was Badi, a little guy. I remember he worked in a clothing shop, not clothing, textiles and stuff. We bought some things from him. Wonderful guy. Little guy, scrappy guy, excellent boxer, very, very quick with his hands, funny guy, also an Arab, wonderful guy. Then there was Vladimir, or Vladi, tall Russian guy, must have been about 70. This guy had arms of steel. He got me once in a headlock, I thought my neck was going to come off. Just a really tough fighter, Vladi, but I always chose the most challenging people, because I knew if I went home and I hadn't chosen the most difficult person to train with, I'd be angry at myself later on for wimping out. So I'd always look and see who's the toughest guy to train with, and that's the person I would choose to try to get the best workout, even though I knew I might be in for a beating or a neck cranking or something like that. Then there was one of the funny guys, Marciano. Marciano, I remember he had a white belt with 2 stripes, and we used to call him White Belt Second Dan. He was a funny little scrappy Moroccan fellow, I believe, just full of enthusiasm, loved his sidekicks. I remember now, we used to call him Jean-Claude Marciano because he was a big fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme. Funny guy. There was, of course, Ildiko, who was a member of the Hungarian Olympic judo team, outstanding athlete. There was Oscar, Hungarian guy. He did a roundhouse kick to my head for my black belt test. I thought I was going to end up with a, how do you call it?
Lump.
A lump for the rest of my life. From that heel, backspinning heel kick to my head. Great guy, wonderful to train with.
I saw that kick.
Yeah, it was an amazing kick. What can you do? Sometimes you get hit in the head. There were the Dribid brothers, Dov, may he rest in peace, who died in a fight with Arabs, being shot in the head, unfortunately. His brother, Ehud, who I did a wrestling match. Ehud was a tough fighter. He's the one who gave me my permanent arm injury. 2 other people I remember were Mikey and Iran. Mikey was a lawyer, was studying for law school. Jovial, happy guy, tough fighter. And Iran, he was like the star of the dojo. I don't know where he is today. Great guy, tough as nails, tough fighter. Always enjoyed fighting with him. Never gave me an easy time. Nobody gave you an easy time. It's just great times, great times.